Hi everyone, Mike Holmes here. This is the Know Your Reno podcast, where listeners will hear from experts from Improve Canada. Whether you're building, designing, renovating, or learning, this podcast is for you. Improve Canada is a fantastic home improvement and education center. You can speak to multiple showrooms about your project needs. Custom furniture, decor, landscaping, general contracting. Get your tiles from one showroom and your countertops from another. You can really mix and match to have the reno of your dreams. Everything you need under one roof.
Hi, my name is Olga and I'm the host. And today we have Paul from Trendy Blinds talking to us a little bit about how to pick window coverings for your home.
Yeah, thank you, Olga. Yeah, Trendy Blinds, we focus on window coverings, both blinds and drapery. We do a lot of automation as well with our window coverings, and we cover throughout GTA and also Kitchener-Waterloo area.
Very cool. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
So I know when we're thinking about window coverings, I feel like a lot of people, it's almost like an afterthought, right? For people, they don't think that that's such a major feature in their home, but it definitely is. It plays a huge role, right? So Could you tell us a little bit about what the process is like for even picking window coverings or anything when a consumer is just getting started?
Yeah, good question. Window covering is a highly visible part of your home. It's something that you use and see every day. So it's definitely an important aspect of home decor. And there's also functional benefits as well. To start off the process, people need to consider, what the intended use of the window covering is, and there are a few factors to consider.
So what are some of those factors? What should we be looking at when we're picking window coverings?
I would generally recommend people take a room by room approach and consider, things like light control, privacy issues, how you match with the rest of your room decor, things like how you intend to use the shade, and also your budget.
Yeah, that's a really big one for a lot of people.
For sure.
Those are definitely like a few factors, that we have to consider. What is the best way for us to get started in all of this?
Nowadays people are very comfortable doing a lot of research online, and definitely that's a really good place to start. There are a lot of interior design kind of websites, House, for instance. There's a lot of social media that have interior design related topics and subsections, so people can kind of explore that. I would say that's a good starting point. It gives people a sense of what's possible out there in the market, and a sense of gives people some ideas. Yeah,
absolutely. You should see my Pinterest account. It's all like room by room what I want to do and how I want to decorate everything.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a really good starting point, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So after we've done all of this online research, because I know I can spend hours and hours and weeks doing it myself, what would be a great next step for that?
I think one mistake a lot of homeowners make is that they spend too much time online and researching, and that doesn't really help them make the ultimate decision. I think the next step is to really engage with a window covering professional to get some expert advice and see what the different options are in real life.
Yeah.
I think people are generally, they don't want to, at this stage, they don't want to really commit to one single vendor. So inviting a vendor to their home to kind of present window covering might not be the right next step. But instead, booking a time at their showroom, you can, engage with the professional and see all the options in a public setting. It will be a really good option.
I'm Mike Holmes. I've been trying to educate people on how to build it right, how to prioritize your renovations, and how to pick products and materials that will last. We love speaking to the Improve experts about how they are supporting the skilled trades. This is important to us, and it takes a whole community to stand behind the effort. Visit improvecanada.com to start your home improvement project the right way. Subscribe to the Know Your Reno podcast to learn more about how to renovate it right. And if you do see me at Improve Canada, please come by and say hi. Hope you enjoy the podcast and keep making it right.
So now that, you've suggested going to showrooms, but there are so many out there, there's so many options, there's so many showrooms just in the GTA alone, how should I be prepared for, what should I go in expecting at these showrooms?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is an Improve podcast, so I would make a pitch about coming to Improve. There's a lot of showrooms to see here. But most importantly, when it comes to window covering, if you can bring some initial measurements of your window, some photos, so when we come in, we can get, kind of take a more deep dive and discuss individual windows and get a sense of the size of the windows so we can be able to price out for your budget. Mm-hmm.
So basically the best way to be prepared is, have some measurements ready to go. That way you'll be able to maybe get an idea of what your budget could be, right? And that way when you're comparing showrooms or quotes from different vendors, you'll be able to make a more informed decision.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, your measurement doesn't have to be accurate. It's just, initial. So of course we'll go and check measure. But, in order for us to determine the price, I mean, the size of the window is a very important factor.
Of course. And then I would imagine materials also play a role.
Yeah, that's right. And then that's why the showroom, we put a lot of products on display. We have all the sample materials. We can discuss all the various options, including automation, so you'll understand, how much each item costs and what the benefits and pros and cons of each item.
Would you be able to talk a little bit about what kind of materials people are now gravitating towards, what's popular? I know smart homes are becoming a huge, huge thing, so I'm sure automations plays a huge role in a lot of the work, right? But what about materials? Like what should we be looking at as maybe the most practical or functional option for the window coverings?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if you look back decades ago, people used to do a lot of drapery and they do shears and drapes. And then they moved towards kind of a more like horizontal blinds, and then soft shading has became a very popular thing. I guess initially silhouette type shades, and then they moved on to these shades that are called like zebra shades. The benefits of these kind of fabric based kind of material shades is that they can be produced at very large sizes. You may know that a lot of newer homes, the windows are getting bigger and bigger.
Thank God. I love it. I love the natural light. Give me all the big windows.
Yeah, that's right. And, definitely big windows just make the house so much more nicer and so grander and all that. But, if you use the more traditional kind of blinds from decades ago, vertical blinds, horizontal, they tend to be kind of heavy and bulky, and they don't really go with the decor nowadays. So these fabric type based blinds are really good solution.
So what you were saying is basically the best option is where you get all of the privacy, but you don't get that kind of bulkiness of something that doesn't really fit in with the rest of your home, right? So we almost want to think of it as an element of decor, of course, but also functionality, right? So maybe if it's a newer build, we should probably be considering window coverings at the building stage of the process rather than the decorating stage. It's a bit of decorating, but if you are thinking of automation,
definitely you should engage with a window covering professional at an earlier stage, especially if you have an electrician doing some wiring. We do work with a lot of custom home builders as well. And so we come in before the drywall is up, and we're already engaged with the electrician and discuss the electrical needs for automation, the petitioning of the wiring, all those kind of details, right? So that's very important. But the core aspect is also very, very important as well.
Of course. Yeah. So it's probably better for people to start thinking about this earlier rather than when the house is already built and you're like, oh, maybe I want some smart blinds in here.
Yeah, that's right. Now we're in, like everybody wants their blinds, and when the moment they purchase, the question they ask is, when can I get them? And
question.
Yeah, I'd say especially lead times can vary and depends on the product, and so definitely give yourself more time. Yeah.
Especially, I would imagine right now we're in COVID-19, right?
Yes,
everyone's
that's right.
experiencing supply chain issues. Everyone is experiencing shortages. So, is that how the timelines have changed? Have you seen a drastic change in lead times and timelines and just how long it takes you to finish client projects now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely shipping is slower. There's also sometimes, depending on the product, they might have some, supply chain issues where they might not have all the components. So there might be a delay in terms of getting the material.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely allow yourself more time, and that will be helpful. Yeah.
So if we're in the GTA, right? So we're seeing a lot of new construction. We're seeing condos pop up everywhere. We're seeing subdivisions, new builds,
Right.
and there's a lot of people involved in those projects, right? So if we're thinking about window coverings, at least, especially earlier in the process, how would you fit that in? With the contractors and the designers and everything. Where do you fit in?
Yeah, I mean, window covering tend towards the end of a renovation project, but we generally get engaged during the middle of the process. Like I said earlier, I mentioned before the drywall comes up, a lot of people want to do automation. Well, it's maybe time to think about it. I mean, after the fact, you can still do automation. Of course, there's, rechargeable battery type solutions as well. But, some people prefer hot wire. You never have to charge the motors. The shades will keep working indefinitely, so that's really good. So those are some things to consider. We do work, some owners have a general contractor. They like us to communicate with their contractor to coordinate things, and we definitely will be more than happy to do so. Other homeowners, they engage with an interior designer or decorator, and their designer or decorator might be the one that comes to the showroom and select what they like, and then present it to the client. So we also can more than welcome to work with them as well. Yeah.
So back to the smart blinds. I know that's a really interesting topic now because we're seeing a lot more smart homes pop up on the market. If someone already has a home, if they're undergoing a renovation project, could you still retrofit the automatic blinds that are hardwired and they don't have to be recharged, they're not on batteries? Could you do that into an existing construction already?
Yes, that's right. It's possible, and we do quite, every week we do projects like that. We also have access to electricians as well, and we can work with them in terms of coming up with a wiring solution that is specific to that window or that home, that doesn't require tearing down drywalls or anything like that. There are solutions out there, but it's a case-by-case basis. You have to see what it is. But like I said, there's also the rechargeable battery kind of solutions where, the power source is from a rechargeable kind of battery. So maybe you charge it once a year. So a little bit more work for the person, but it's not like a big deal.
You don't have to plug in your blinds every day.
No, not like a phone where you need to plug overnight. No, you maybe once a year for 4 or 5 hours and you're good to go. I mean, there are solar panel options as well for power source, but given the climate in Ontario, it might not be the best solution. Maybe you're in sunny Florida or somewhere like that. It'll be excellent solution.
I wish, but we are in Ontario where it's currently very cold.
Yeah, that's right.
Very cool. So I want to talk a little bit about, we've touched on design styles, we've touched on automations. My question is, are there certain blinds or window coverings that, of course, they all fall into style categories, right? Mm-hmm. So interior design, you have the ultra modern, you've got the transitional style. Does that apply to window coverings as well?
Yeah, that's right. If you see in our showroom, we do also drapery and blinds, and there are many different patterns and styles to kind of match your decor. Mm-hmm. Not everybody is going for the modern look. Yeah. Some have a traditional look. So depending on the material choice, some of the material look like, say, linen or whatever kind of look. They look more traditional. In terms of drapery, we can do different pleat styles for top treatments. We can, there's many styles like that available.
So basically, the options are endless.
Yeah, it's endless, and that's the thing. There's a lot more choices than people realize. So, and people don't shop window coverings on a regular basis. It might be 10, 15 years before they've actually shopped for window coverings, and a lot has changed over the decade.
Of course.
Yeah.
What are some of the more prominent features that you're seeing? What are the shifts in the market that you've been seeing lately? Because you've been in this business for a really long time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, the kind of a fabric-based material type shades have became very popular, and last couple of years in particular, the automation has really taken off. Part of it is due to the fact that smart home kind of automation has become more accessible to consumers. Traditionally, people have used pretty high-end home automation systems, and then our shades will kind of pair with those high-end automation systems. But now there are, kind of like a aftermarket consumer grade. You can talk to your speakers like Amazon Alexa. You can talk to your Google and control your shades, and those are more, at a lower price point. And so you can, kind of create a smart home in that kind of a fashion. Yeah.
So you no longer kind of need a technician to come out and do all of these things and integrate everything, right? You can kind of just get it.
Yeah, I like to say it's kind of like a Wi-Fi based. Everybody has home Wi-Fi. Their very smart gadgets are all kind of tied to their Wi-Fi, and so when it comes to smart home, you can also do that too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so what do you think is going to be prevalent in 2022, right? Because we're now in 2022, and I'm sure a lot of people are starting to think, COVID doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are still thinking about maybe upgrading their spaces. What do you think is going to be much more prevalent maybe, or will stick around for 2022 in that category?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've seen a lot of people renovating their homes, and there's also a lot of new home construction as well. And people are looking for, people are not looking for kind of a quick short-term solution for their window. They realize that, maybe I should be purchasing something that will last longer. There's a warranty involved, maybe future-proofing, especially when it comes to smart home. As you may or may not know, there's actually a lot of communication standards when it comes to kind of smart home devices and things like that. And so in choosing the right kind of motorized solution, for instance, for your shade, is very important. If an emerging standard becomes the dominant standard, you want to make sure that the motors and the automation that you chose can work with that.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that's definitely very important because
right.
As we're seeing the technology change every year, you want to make sure that, you have the ability to grow with that. And also, because we're in Toronto, I feel like this is a very relevant question, right? We have a lot of condos here. We are seeing more and more high rises. We're seeing people are no longer living in these, big lots, big space, and we're seeing kind of the shoebox condos pop up.
Yeah.
Is there a different process for picking window coverings, maybe in a smaller space, maybe something that has a little bit more management, maintenance involved? What's the process there like?
Yeah, a lot of condos are nowadays, at least the newer condos, they literally have a floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall type of glazing. And so the shades generally are quite big. And when you look at it from a square footage point of view, sometimes condo has more windows than homes. And when sometimes it's kind of funny, I get calls and people say, oh, my condo is only 600 square feet. How much would it cost to cover my windows? And I tend to joke and they say, well, I'm not in the flooring business, so I wouldn't know, how much, your floor will cost. But, your windows, you probably have more square footage than a typical home, right? So you may have to allocate a little bit more budget for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the big windows, but you still want the privacy. So
yeah, there's costs involved.
so it probably makes sense that if you're going to go with the really big windows, go with some really big blinds as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the advantages with you're living in a smaller space is you're not spending as much on furniture and all that. So put a bit of that money into a proper window covering, because if anything goes wrong with the window covering, being so large in size, it'll become much more difficult to repair or replace. So getting a higher quality solution that will last is very important. I mean, there's a lot of people, handing out little flyers trying to offer you the best deal on the planet. But, a year from now, you might be looking at how to repair and fix those kind of a low quality kind of blinds.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the last thing you want to do is, have to replace something that's so substantial in your home every single year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So in your experience, what is kind of the most important factors if you were to give advice to someone that's embarking on a project like this that maybe is not the main thing in their mind when it comes to home renovation, but it is still such an integral part as we have found out? What would you suggest? Where should we start? Where should we end? What is the most important things that we need to be considering?
Yeah, I think we touched on that throughout this conversation, but maybe I kind of reiterate and emphasize is, maybe engage with a window covering professional a little bit earlier during the process, not at the last minute. Think about, what are your needs in terms of, both automation and decor. So those are very important. And also, put a bit of time into window covering. It's not something that is an afterthought because it's something that you use on a regular basis, and your intention is to be able to use it for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm getting is you should probably plan ahead, plan earlier than you think you need to.
Yeah, and you know what? You don't have to get too stressed out about it because once you engage with a professional like us, we can really help you and guide you. So you don't have to think too deeply of how to plan out the details. We can plan it for you, but you have to kind of engage with us a little bit earlier so that we have time to plan for you.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Paul. If anybody wants to get in touch with Paul and visit the showroom at Improve Canada, we will have links down in the description for you to book appointments and come see the beautiful showroom and maybe pick out your next coverings.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Know Your Reno. If you would like to get in touch with today's speaker or any of our large number of showrooms at Improve Canada, please check the description for a link to book an appointment with us at Canada's largest home improvement center. Don't forget to keep in touch with us on our socials, and we will see you next week for another value-packed episode to make your next home renovation a breeze.